April, regardless of all these things, April is bullish for stocks and crypto. So Bitcoin specifically. Now, why is April bullish? Because traditionally speaking, Q1 of any year just isn't that good for businesses. Usually all the profits and everything, all the euphoria, the holidays, all Q4 of any given year. And Q1, you kind of restart. It's almost like Monday of the work week, right? No one likes Mondays. It's just the same thing. No one likes Q1 of any new year. But Q2 is when it starts getting better. And then Q3 gets better. And then Q4 is when you have a really good quarter. The stock market, S&P 500, going all the way back to 2012, traditionally, it has been green. And then 2022, we had a little bit of a dip, but overall, you could see it's pretty much green all around, right? If you look at Bitcoin, it's a little bit more mixed, but more greens than red. You could see after the 2013 top, we had a couple of bad Aprils, but barely, just minus 3%, right? And then 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, all terrific. 26, 35, 28, 36% gains, right? Terrific. 2021 had a little dip, 3%, but that's only because look at March of 2021. We had a 30% gain, right? And then 2022, not so good because 2022 was actually a pretty bad year for Bitcoin. If you look at it, April is actually pretty bullish for Bitcoin. We are recovering up from bottom. So that means this year could be equally as bullish as previous years. Bitcoin is the superior asset, right? Since MicroStrategy bought in on Bitcoin, August 10th of 2020, Bitcoin is up 137%. Gold is down 2%. Silver's down 16%. Nothing comes close to Bitcoin. And Bitcoin will never be replaced. You have Bitcoin and everything else. And it's the same with crypto. It's Bitcoin and everything else. All coins are different than Bitcoin. You have Bitcoin and everything else. Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, thinks that it's going to get much worse for the banks. Repercussions for years to come. Any crisis that damages Americans' trust in their banks damage all banks. A fact that was known even before this crisis. While it is true that this bank crisis benefited larger banks due to the inflow of deposits they received from smaller institutions, the notion that this meltdown was good for them in any way is absurd. Here's the thing. Let's keep in mind that in 2008, all large banks, including JP Morgan and Bank of America and Citibank and Goldman Sachs, they were all about to collapse too. That was not too long ago. We're not talking about like 1910 or 1950s. We're talking about in 2008, had the Fed not bailed them out, every bank on earth, including the large banks, would have failed, okay? And if the Fed and FDIC didn't step in this time, they would be in trouble too. I think people don't realize how serious of a problem this is. This is why we need something better, decentralized, something that isn't controlled by greedy people or highly leveraged balance sheets, right? This is why we need Bitcoin. I've been talking a lot about overprinting, over stimulus, but ultimately, if you don't care about any of that, just care about this. The dollar, the sterling, the ruble, the euro, the franc, okay, the yen, anything else. Over time, they have all gone down in terms of buying power. Your purchasing power has been decreasing. People don't realize that. People think, oh, $1,000 today is the same as $1,000 20 years ago. It is not. What you could purchase with $1,000 have changed vastly in 20 years. This is what inflation does. It's a silent tax on your money. You may think you have the same amount of money in your bank account or your 401k or your retirement plan, whatever, but just know that all this printing by the Fed and everyone else, what they're doing is basically robbing you of your buying power, which is getting closer and closer to zero, okay? But here's the thing. How do you counter that? Bitcoin. Look at the dollar, the buying power of the dollar, right? This goes back even further. This is really mind-blowing in terms of, yes, you're being robbed slowly over time, and it has increased even more since 2020. But Bitcoin has basically been a rocket ship upwards. It's not going to stop. Basically, preserve your wealth. You don't want to see it being taxed away by inflation. You want a hedge against inflation, something that will outperform inflation, and nothing has been better at doing that than Bitcoin. And before I move on, I want to talk about privacy really quick. Are you concerned about your internet activity being monitored? Or are you concerned that centralized exchanges are tracking your location through your IP? If so, and you want to keep your activity and location private, then check out NordVPN. NordVPN helps protect your online privacy and security through their virtual private network spread across the world. Using NordVPN, you can hide your IP address, encrypt your internet connection, shielding your digital life from prying eyes like internet service providers, network administrators, crypto exchanges, and even from the government. NordVPN uses military-grade encryption and has a strict no-log policy to keep your data safe from hackers and cyber criminals. Plus, with over 5,000 servers in 59 countries, you can easily access the internet anywhere in the world while being protected. Whether you're at home or on the go, NordVPN has you covered. If you want to learn more about NordVPN, check out the URL in the description of this video. And Michael Saylor arguably is winning this race right now because he just made a big purchase like 2 weeks ago, and now he made another big purchase, over 1,000 Bitcoins. So now MicroStrategy holds 140,000 Bitcoins. Imagine when Bitcoin is at $1 million each, or $5 million each, or $10 million each. I can't even do the math. Is that what, $14 trillion or something? Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy will be the richest company on earth by far. I mean, that's insane. Insane. Michael Saylor gets it. He knows what's coming. That's the mentality we should all have. It's just accumulate as many as we can because it's going to be a lot more expensive in the future than now. John Bollinger, the creator of Bollinger Bands, warned a squeeze is about to happen, probably to the upside, right? I mean, Bitcoin has been stuck under 28, around 28 for quite some time, right? Ready to break out. It took us a long time to break above 24.2. Like, look at it. It took a long time, right? It took this long, even though we broke below, right? It took this long to break through 24,000. Maybe we have to wait just as long to break 28,000, but we've been pressing up against this resistance for quite some time with very low volatility. That shows that there is a lot of strength right now, especially with distrust in banks, and people are getting ready to move it higher. Bitcoin is up 70%. NASDAQ is about up 17%, S&P 6%, and everything else is basically near zero. Nothing outperforms Bitcoin when it comes to these runs, and also when it comes to looking at the bigger picture. Nothing hedges against inflation better than Bitcoin for the last 10 years, or even 5 years for that matter. That's fact. Anthony Scaramucci, the Mooch, predicts that Bitcoin will hit $1 million by 2030. 2030, that's only 2 cycles away. We're reaching the next cycle top in 2025, right? And the next cycle top after that is 2029. But he believes Bitcoin will hit $1 million in 2030. And he believes that we are definitely past the bear market and we are now moving upwards and recovering. Okay, and he's not alone. There's so many people in this space that also believes that. And I do too. Bitcoin will reach $1 million. It's not a matter if, just a matter of when. You have Bank of America, one of the biggest banks on the planet, and Fidelity, one of the largest asset managers on the planet. They purchased $75 million worth of MicroStrategy stock in Q1. Okay, why do you think they did that? Because they want more exposure to Bitcoin, right? That's why MicroStrategy stock has been doing well so far this year. MicroStrategy itself bought more Bitcoin, and Bitcoin hits $1 million each. What is that? That's like $14 trillion or something. It would make MicroStrategy the richest company on earth. That's what Michael Saylor is trying to do. I mean, just pay attention to this. If you don't believe in the charts, you don't believe in patterns, fractal stuff that I've been showing you guys, when institutions are getting in who openly said that they now hold Bitcoin, that they're coming out with more funds relating to Bitcoin. And when they own stock like MicroStrategy and so does Fidelity and Bank of America and everyone else, just put two and two together, right? There's not enough Bitcoin to go around.